So now we're going to start. Is that okay?
Let's go.
All right. I'm Anthony.
Hello, I'm David.
All right. David's with Universal Title. And today we're going to be talking about.
Coinciding
All
settlements.
right, good deal. Let's get this going here. And there we go.
Okay.
So what you got immediately going to hypothetical, but what is a
Let's
coinciding settlement?
definitely let's explain that.
Yeah.
So as Anthony said, David Robertson with Universal Title in Falls Church. We are going to talk about coinciding settlements, what they are, how to navigate through them, what the pitfalls are, how to try to avoid putting your client in a really hard situation like losing their earnest money because the deal on the other side didn't close all on time, even if it's not their fault, that could put them in jeopardy. So we'll talk about that. But a coinciding settlement is basically where you're putting two settlements together, where someone's got to sell before they buy.
Right.
And they need to put those together in the sense of the lender needs to see that they have sold their home before they can get final loan approval on their purchase. That often is the case.
Got it.
And also if they need the money.
Great. And as you're going through the points here, you're also going to be talking about where it's located in the contract and what to do with it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great.
Yep.
So you represent a seller who's
Here's
buying a house.
hypothetical one. That's right. So you represent a seller, they need a place to live, they're going to buy a home as well. It's a little outdated, sorry, October 21st, 2019. But that's your closing date on the sale transaction. And we're going to call that transaction A. Okay.
Okay.
And then
So this is assuming they don't have COVID then, right?
that's right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
back
right.
in
Got it.
2019.
Yeah,
No, that was a little early for COVID, wasn't it?
it was.
Yeah, that's right.
The year before.
COVID hadn't hit yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're still good. We're in the clear.
Okay. And B.
And then he finds a house that he wants to buy. And we're going to call that transaction B. All right. So we'll keep that straight. A is the sale, B is the buy. I should have called it transaction S.
Yeah.
S and buy.
Yeah,
A and B. So the sellers of transaction B, the one they're buying, they're fine with whatever closing date the buyer wants. So what are your options?
Okay.
Okay. So first, a few things you need to keep in mind. Virginia is a wet settlement state.
Now, I understand that. Explain what that is, and then I got a question. Follow up.
Great. Wet settlement means money. Dry settlement means no money.
That was my question.
Perfect.
I thought it was. All right, this is bad. I'm the broker. I thought wet settlement meant a wet signature.
No.
Okay. I'm corrected after 30 years in real estate now. There we go.
In this context, we're talking about money.
Okay.
Think liquid.
Okay, got it. Oh, okay, got it.
In the sense of money transaction, liquid funds. So it just means that deal's not closed until you got money.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And another thing to remember, let me see, I'm looking at my bullet points. Maybe the next slide is the next point. Why don't you go ahead? Yeah, so in Virginia, also a thing to keep in mind, funds cannot be dispersed from a closing until the deed has been recorded at the courthouse. It's not the case in DC, Maryland, but in Virginia that is. Okay.
True. I do like my Maryland closings.
Yep.
I get a check as I'm walking out the door.
You pay faster. That's true. It's not so much in the Old Dominion. Sorry.
Right. Sure.
This is Virginia.
Now, how many states are different like that?
Well, I don't know. I haven't looked at all the states in the country.
Yeah. But I know, folks, sometimes you'll get a client and you can tell the attorney's son or daughter has entered the room because you're starting to get changes on your contract. And you say, well, where are you an attorney? Oh, I'm in Massachusetts. Like, well, that's not how we do it here in Virginia.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving along here.
A couple of things to keep in mind. The second bullet point on this slide, the disbursement of all the funds has to be within 2 business days of a final closing. That's by Virginia law.
Yeah.
Okay. And by final closing, we mean all the money and all the docs.
Okay.
So Virginia, that's the definition of a complete settlement. Money and docs.
Docs. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Not just signatures.
Right. We gotta have docs.
Got it. Okay.
Courthouse doesn't take copies.
Yeah.
It needs signed originals.
Okay.
Signed original deed, signed original mortgage, if there is one, usually there is. And then what happens after closing? And if you go to the next slide, we can talk about that. Some lenders, they require a review of all their signed loan documents before they'll give the title company something called funding authorization. All that means is lender says, yep, we looked at the docs, you're good to go, record the deed, disperse the funds, you're all set. Okay. It does say some lenders, I'll say most lenders want to see some, if not all, of the signed loan docs.
Right.
Okay. And that means often for title companies, we're waiting.
All right, so I'm looking at the second point here. Title abstractor performs one last title search after closing.
It's true. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's called a bring down. Okay.
This could be a very sad day if something happens after closing.
It's-
I didn't know about this.
Yeah, that's true. And here's why this is done. It's done for things that change, surprises that come up. I'll give you an example. We had a closing once where we went through settlement, everything looked fine.
Mhm.
And on the bring down title search, which happens right after closing, but
Yeah.
just before we record the deed,
Right.
that's what this is referred to in the second bullet point. There was a new mechanics lien found.
New.
Never been recorded before.
Wow.
Nobody knew about it. Well, the person that filed knew about it.
Yeah. So like that morning or something, or
It,
well, since the last.
since the last title search was done.
So the seller had gotten some work, and you guys in the mechanics lien, the seller had gotten some work done, hadn't paid the vendor. The vendor they had a title search early on, and between that and closing, boom, they put a,
That's right.
wow.
So this short title search is meant to just cover the gap in time from last time the search was done, as you said, Anthony,
Yeah.
until the moment before they record the deed.
Is Abe Lincoln losing his house? That's
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's a famous story.
right.
So the vendor on this mechanics lien, by the way, was
Uh-huh.
ex-girlfriend.
Oh
This was a $200,000 mechanics lien
my God.
that she filed, claiming that there were some services provided for the homeowner, like cleaning services and travel arrangement and a whole bunch of things.
That's a lot of cleaning and travel.
Yeah, it was bogus.
Yeah.
And she knew it. Her lawyer knew it too. But we can't just ignore something when we find it in the title
Right.
search. It's got to get cleaned up.
See, the lawyer knows it too. Did he just take her money?
I don't know.
I'll do whatever you want me to do.
I don't know. Some
my
lawyers do
goodness.
some interesting things.
Okay.
But anyway, so this is why this last minute title search is done.
Right.
Okay. Then after that, then we record the deed.
Mhm.
Now most recordings around here are done digitally,
Mhm.
which is fantastic. I love
Yeah.
digital so much faster
Right.
than paper.
Is it binding as much as the actual courthouse
Oh yeah.
recording? Okay.
Yeah, it's
Just as binding.
It's the same, but one thing to understand is it's not instant. So we send documents digitally to the courthouse with the digital
Mhm.
recording taxes as well, or that's all through an escrow account we use. But the courthouse staff still has to look at it,
Mhm.
and they have to review and approve it. And often we're waiting on them. And if you're
Oh, so it's recorded. It's in their box. Now they got to look at it.
well, not recorded until they say it's
Oh,
recorded.
okay. So
We've
right.
submitted it, but
Mhm.
often we're waiting. And if you close and we submit a deed on a day where they're really busy,
Mhm.
the courthouse, just like every other government agency, they only have limited resources.
Mhm.
So if their staff is swamped, we're going to be waiting a while.
Yeah.
So I go through all this just so you say, okay, so I can tell you, here are all the things that happen before
Right.
we disperse money. We've got to have original signed documents. We have to have all the money. We've got to have the lender saying, okay, you're good to go. We've got to make sure we have a clear bring down title search. We've got to wait for the courthouse to then
Mhm.
record the documents.
Yeah.
Okay. Only then, when the courthouse says, okay, you're good, then we can disperse the funds.
How long you say you record it today? Today is a
Sure.
Thursday, and you've done. How long before they actually look at it over there?
Usually within an hour.
Oh, okay,
It's
okay.
pretty quick.
Pretty
Most
quick.
courthouses are within an
So
hour.
it's not even about it being done at 4 o'clock or something, or let's say 3 o'clock, because 4 o'clock they might be
Sure.
stretching their legs and getting ready to get out.
Some counties stop looking at recordings at 3 p.m.
Hmm.
Others will be a little longer, 4 o'clock. So it does depend on what courthouse you're working with.
Mhm.
But we do have to wait on them. And if you're closing on a day, say on a Friday where everybody wants to close, or the day just before a holiday weekend,
Yeah.
often there's a lot of closings, we might be waiting a while.
Yeah, the worst case scenario, I think we just hit it. Well, maybe not, but when there's July 4th
Yes.
on a Monday
Yeah.
and June 30th on a Friday.
Yep.
I think we hit that like in 19 or 2000 something. I remember that weekend specifically, and they said, "Oh yeah, this is always the worst case scenario. Everyone's trying to get
Right.
done by Friday,
Yeah.
and then Monday, first, second, third.
Wait,
Yeah, Monday's Tuesday's closed.
Does that work out?
Oh no, it's June. It's Thursday the 30th,
Yeah. There you go.
and then the
There you go.
4th is a Monday.
Yep.
Because a lot of people are taking vacation on the 1st.
Mhm.
They're making a 4-day weekend,
Right.
and they're people too.
Yep. And the courthouse is going to be backed up. I guarantee it.
It's the second quarter of a holiday
Yeah,
weekend.
it's-
That's the problem.
So
Yeah.
all that to say is we're often just waiting for the courthouse.
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
right.
So let's go to the next
Okay.
slide. And just some more notes on recording. Sometimes e-recording can't be done. There are some outlying counties where it's just,
Oh, it can't be done because they don't have the technology.
they're just not set up. It's
Okay.
just not how they do things around there.
No, it's
And
not.
where are you from? You want to e-record? Sorry.
Hey, I'm from the South.
Yeah,
We can talk like that. That's okay.
that's right.
We're not offended. We're actually pretty proud about it.
All right. So when that's the case, it's even
Yeah.
longer. And what we have to do is we have to actually FedEx.
All right, so this is all the post-closing check in. This is what we're talking
what
about
all
here.
this is about.
This is
And
all post-closing. Wow.
it will be clear why I'm going through this in just a second.
Yeah, well,
This does relate to
hang in there, people.
It relates to coinciding settlements. It does.
Right.
I
okay,
guarantee.
Yeah.
So when it's e-recording that's not available for the courthouse, we have to sometimes FedEx, and then we wait, and then they tell us, and we wait. If they don't tell us, or we call, and sometimes you can call and you can bother the courthouse staff,
Yeah.
but you don't want to make those people mad.
No.
They can really stick it to you if
Yeah.
they
And they're like, well, that big old city slicker wants to make
Yeah,
my
yeah.
life hard. I think I'm gonna go fishing.
So
That's Anthony.
yeah.
I'm saying that. The attorney, very professional, is not saying that.
Well, I grew up in the New York State, so
Right,
I
right.
don't really have a good Southern accent anyway. All right. Let's go to the next slide.
Okay, got it.
And then I'm still going through this. Sometimes documents are rejected by the courthouse. They say, for lots of reasons. It's not the original, of course. Well, we wouldn't submit original anyway.
So let's step through this. Not original. Font's too small.
They say, what? I can't read this. Yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
The font size is not an issue. We know what they require. Not within the margins that they like.
What do you mean not within the margins?
Sometimes courthouses like to leave some space at the top or on the sides
Oh,
for their recording info.
You mean the layout of the page?
Yes, the page
Sheesh.
layout.
Okay.
Notary did something wrong. Maybe notary forgot to fill in the date
Mhm.
on the notary clause, or the
I could
state and
see
the
that,
county.
yeah.
That happens, or they didn't stamp it.
Mhm.
We do try to catch all this stuff before we send stuff to the courthouse. Maybe the check's not made out to the clerk correctly. It might say Prince William County on it, but it's supposed to be payable to clerk of court or something like that. Again,
Okay.
that's a rare one. We usually
Right,
we
right.
do not, we do look for that stuff. Deed of trust, maybe it's it needs a little bit more money to record it because of how long the pages are.
Well, now why does that make a difference on the length of the deed?
If the deed of trust, the mortgage is over 15 pages,
Mhm.
they charge more to record it.
Are we talking cents or dollars? Or
It's like a couple bucks, but still,
enough to push it back?
some courthouses will say, "Up, $2 short, sorry," and then we're waiting to disperse $1 million. Come on,
I'm sorry,
Are
that's
you?
just like crazy.
Can I send you a check?
Yeah, yeah. Check my
Some
wallet.
courthouses require a cover sheet, and that
Mhm.
might have some info on there that's not correct, or the clerk just doesn't like it. Or maybe the last bullet point, the clerk's just having a bad day.
Yeah,
And it's
there
like
you go.
what you started saying, who are these city slickers?
Yeah. What's going on
Yeah,
here?
you try to
These
record a deed in my
realtors.
courthouse, you try again. So,
Okay.
anyway, this is just one more thing that can hold up the
Right.
recording.
Right. Okay.
So go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah.
All right, now
Now they're
once-
done.
If it's recorded, we get the notice, we're good to go, then, all right, we can go ahead and disperse the funds, either a
Mhm.
check or wire. Usually it's wire. Can't do 10s and 20s, I'm sorry. We
But
can't do that.
No cash.
I often joke about that.
Cash is done.
Yeah, it's no cash, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Check or wire. Usually it's wire. Okay, and then here's a bullet point getting into the coinciding settlements. Once the deed is recorded and we've got the wire instructions of where we're going to send the money, then the settlement company can wire the funds to whoever's doing the next transaction, the
Mhm.
purchase. Transaction B, the one your clients are buying.
Okay, all of that to
Yeah.
get to transaction B. So this
Yeah.
is what, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but this is where the assignment of funds is coming in.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we will get to that. Just
Okay,
go ahead and
got
go
it.
to the next slide.
Got it.
Okay. So here's what this means in a hypothetical. Say
Okay,
you're
got it.
closing transaction A on a Monday, October 21st, 2024. How about that? We'll keep it
Okay, let's
current.
do that. Yeah.
The deed's recorded at the courthouse the next day. All right, things are falling in line pretty well. 2:30 p.m. Funds are sent, are ready to be sent.
Are
and
ready
can-
to be sent.
and can be wired at that time.
Okay.
Okay. If the seller filled out wire instructions for the settlement agent transaction B, the funds can be wired straight to that account. Okay, so what I'm
Mhm.
saying is, your client, transaction A, the ones who are selling, they gave us wire instructions, and then as soon as the deed's recorded, show which one you
A
signed,
is the selling, B is the buying.
right?
For your coinciding person.
Correct, and then we can go ahead and wire the funds over for transaction B.
Okay.
And we can send it the moment we receive notice that we're on record
Mhm.
at the courthouse, we can wire the funds. So if we get the word that we're on record at 2:30 PM,
Mhm.
wire's gonna go out the same day. We can release wires up to 5:30 PM
Okay.
on a weekday.
Wires.
Yep. Wires.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
All right, great.
Okay. So therefore, for closing B, if you wanna, close the
Okay,
next
so
day.
now we're getting into the timing.
Oh, I
Sorry,
shouldn't touch that.
but
Yeah.
yeah, be thumping
Yeah,
there
yeah,
on the
sorry about that.
microphone.
Yeah, I don't wanna do that.
Okay. So what we're getting into now is if you do it too late, the dominoes don't keep falling. That's the problem.
That's right.
Yeah.
So as it says here, if you want to schedule coinciding settlements one day after the next, try to make the second closing as late as possible in the day
As late as possible.
to allow all this to happen.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
All the things that we
Yeah.
just went through that have to happen before we can disperse funds on the sale transaction.
So don't do 9 and 1. That's not really enough time.
You don't want your clients sitting there and having to explain to the settlement company and even the sellers, if they're present as well,
Yeah.
hey, I'm sorry, the money's not in yet. We're waiting for it.
Right.
We're waiting.
And they think something's wrong.
And they're gonna start to think,
They start getting nervous.
what's going on with these guys?
Right,
I don't know
right.
about this, this
Mhm.
isn't so great. And then how does the buyer get out of his house on 10/21, but not move in till, 10/22? So this is one practical issue. If you've got coinciding settlements, the sale and the
Mhm.
purchase on different days, where are they gonna sleep?
Right. Yeah.
You can do a rent back. That's the obvious
Right.
answer. And these days in this market, which could change, but right now it's not too hard to get a rent back because
Right.
sellers mostly are in the driver's seat. Maybe you can get one for free, maybe pay a little bit for it. Buyers maybe go, or your clients stay in a hotel, I guess. Or you can put them on your couch.
Right.
Maybe that's not a good idea.
Yeah, yeah. But this is
Mm.
also, guys, and gals, is it's not just the seller leaving his or her house. It's also where's all the stuff go.
Stuff.
And
all
until
that.
you're closed on the second deal, they can't really put it in there. And I don't like, well, how about a pre-settlement occupancy of the stuff in the
Yeah.
garage? I don't like that.
That's risky.
It's very risky.
Yeah,
When you put it in there now,
So many things can go
it's,
wrong.
yeah.
Yep.
And if that, to me, that's almost nuclear. That's a nuclear option, meaning last moment, because if anything were to ever go wrong on I put my stuff in your house and then it doesn't close, that is a huge problem.
Yeah. Yep.
That one's big.
And then damage, if that's caused too, then people moving stuff into the garage,
Right.
they cause some damage, then you got to get that
Yeah,
worked out.
yeah,
Better to avoid a pre-occupancy if you can.
right.
Okay, why don't
Should
you
we
get
hit that?
going?
Okay, got
Yep.
it. Okay.
All right, let's talk about the forms and how to set this up. So in the NVAR contracts form, it's called the contingency clauses addendum. There's a setup for how this is going to work. It's called an assignment of funds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's paragraph 1 or 2. I'll just explain briefly. Paragraph 1 of this is where the seller hasn't yet found a home. Sorry, the seller on transaction A, we'll still take that example.
Right.
They're looking for a home to buy. They haven't found one yet.
Mhm.
And there's a contingency for this choice of home
Right.
For sellers. There's another contingency right after that in this form, which is for the situation. They've already found the home, they just haven't closed yet.
Right.
Okay. Of course, they haven't bought until they've sold.
Right.
And in that situation, in both situations, there's an option, little box
Mhm.
in there where you can check saying seller will or will not accept what's called an assignment of funds. Let me tell you what that is. Assignment of funds is just a letter. It's a
Mhm.
piece of paper from one title company to the other saying, hey, look, when we close on this transaction,
Okay.
here's how much money we're going to send you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's all it is.
It's all it is. It's just a letter.
Okay. It's nothing really like electronic, financial. So that's why it's been there for years.
It's been around for a long time.
Before it's all
It's
the
just a
electronic.
letter.
Okay.
And the idea is to give the seller on transaction B some assurance saying,
Mhm.
okay, well, all right, this is from a title company. I guess
Third party is
looks
telling you.
official. I don't
Yeah.
know who these guys are, but it's something saying the money's going to come over and how much.
Okay.
It is something, but it's not money.
So this is why some people may say, no, I don't want an assignment of funds. I want an actual check.
Some sellers might say, no, I want money. I don't know who these guys are. I shipped a
Right.
letter and stuff
Mhm.
could happen and maybe the money didn't come through.
Mhm.
I'm not going to close until I get actual money.
Yeah.
Okay. And they've got a right to do that.
Within their right, yeah, to do that.
So here's what you do though. When you're trying to set this up for your clients on transaction B, the property your client is buying, you can certainly submit your offer and have that little box check saying seller will accept assignment of funds on this contingency clause
On
form.
transaction B.
And if seller signs it, great. Okay. If seller doesn't sign it, then they make a counter offer and they say they cross that off and they say, they check, no, I will not
I want
accept.
money.
Then of course it's a counter offer and you've got to talk about other options. If they will not accept assignment of funds, here's what you got to make sure you do. You schedule both settlements at least 2 business days apart.
Got it.
Okay.
Did y'all get that? 2 business days apart if there's no assignment of funds.
And the reason is because there's no, again, back to what we talked about, there's no final settlement, so you got money. And on
Right.
deal number 2, if you put those settlements too close together and the seller said, no, I want actual money at the transaction, I don't want an assignment of funds letter, your buyer's going to be a default if that money doesn't show up in time for the settlement date on transaction B.
So you're saying at least 2 days. So let's say they close on the 22nd.
Yep.
You want at least the 24th.
Yep. Business days.
Business days.
Business
And
days.
so-
We're not talking weekends here.
Right.
I mean, holiday
So
business days.
and so now you got the logistical issue. Seller transaction A has sold.
Yep.
And I can't close for 2 days. Then you really want the rent back.
Get the rent back so they have somewhere to sleep, or
Right.
stuff's in a moving truck waiting and they're paying fees and they're staying in a hotel. I guess
Right.
if you have to, maybe that's what they do.
Right. Short-term rental.
So
Yeah.
hopefully that makes sense.
Mhm.
And I'll say this too, even when the seller did agree to assignment of funds, I would really recommend try not to have the settlements on the same day.
Oh, okay.
You can, I know we've done it, but it's just
Yeah.
when you pile the more and more stuff you put onto one day, everything falling into place, it's like Murphy's Law. When something can go wrong,
Well, for me,
it's just possible.
right.
So yeah, this might be for you too.
Yeah. There you go.
But if you have to go the same day because there's no rent back agreed on transaction A on the sale,
Right.
or the sellers to say, Anthony, I'm sorry, I just, I'm not going to sleep at a hotel. I
Right.
want them the same day. Say, all right, we'll try to put it together for you,
Right.
and just cross your fingers that everything goes fine.
Right.
But here's one easy thing that can go wrong. Say transaction A, the one where your client is selling,
Yes.
that buyer's loan, say the lender says, all right, we need more time. Well, wait, no, you don't have more
Right.
time. We got to close. I got to purchase
Right.
my next home the same day. Sorry.
So that's where on the contingency and clauses you got to close first before you
Right.
can go forward.
That's right. You got to use that.
Yeah. There's the sale of home clause, and
Yep.
then there's a close of home clause.
Yeah.
And the sale of home clause has the closing in that clause.
Yeah.
But the close of home clause means you've already sold it. I'm under contract. I just got to close.
Right.
And the buyer of transaction B, the seller of transaction B, is accepting that.
Yeah.
So you're covered.
Yeah. The contingency works like this.
Right.
I don't have to buy your house until I close on mine.
Right.
My sale.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Good deal.
Okay. So continuing on this example, if the seller and lender, if they allow, then we can close on the same day.
But
even-
still you want some time.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't say 9 and 10.
9 and 4.
Yeah, we've done that too, where it's more convenient. People are already there. And if we're closing both deals,
Oh yeah.
then
Yeah.
they sign both at the same time. That can work
Yeah.
as long as everyone knows there's no final settlement on your purchase till that money is actually in.
That is true.
Yeah.
I would, and I've had that. I've had them both ways where it's all at one place.
Yeah.
And for the sake of the ease of the transaction, I'll be willing to settle where the seller wants to go if this makes it all easy, but you need to explain that to your buyer because the buyer has the choice of where they want to close.
Of course.
And then I've had the one where it's 2 separate,
Settlement
and that's a
companies.
little
Yeah.
bit more challenging.
Yeah, it's a little more logistical because then
Right.
just one more place the money's got to flow.
Right.
If it is all at the same title company, it does work smoother. But one thing to keep in mind is even if that's the case, excuse me, the money from the sales transaction cannot be moved over to the purchase transaction, even if it's the same title company, until transaction A, the sale is recorded.
So that's where e-recording comes in very
That's where it
important.
can help. But
Yeah.
we can't move the money from the sale file to the purchase file and
Wow.
use the money in the purchase file until
So-
we can actually disperse money from the sale
So if
file.
you're out, if you're in a county where they can't do the E,
Hmm.
it's like 2 trips to the courthouse.
It could be. If
Yeah.
both properties are the same courthouse, yeah.
Yeah.
Same county, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it could be.
Okay. So coinciding, it does come fraught with its challenges.
I know it's sometimes necessary and it can be great. Hey, for you, it's 2 deals. But
Yeah.
there's just a lot of things to keep in mind.
Right.
A lot of moving parts here. If you can, try to get the settlement scheduled at least 2 business days apart.
Mhm.
If you can't, okay, try to get them at least to the same settlement company.
Right.
That'll be a little smoother. And make sure you get that the contingencies used in that
Yeah.
coinciding settlement contingency form.
Okay.
But we can keep going on the
Okay.
slides here.
Great.
Okay. So if the seller does
Right.
agree to an assignment of funds,
You just talked about
then
that.
they can
Yeah.
close the same day.
Yeah.
As long as everyone is okay and understands what's going on. And you got to prepare the seller for transaction B. So let's say you're the listing agent.
Which seller? Seller B?
Say you're listing agent on transaction B,
Yes.
where you know that you're the buyer of that transaction is
There's 3 deals. There's a buyer.
2
Well,
deals.
well, I mean, there's a buyer buying, the seller selling, and now the seller's buying. And I'm selling. So, I mean, it is 2,
let's stick
but
with
there's 3 parties is what I'm thinking
yes,
about.
3
Yeah.
parties.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, 2 sellers and a 3 parties.
Yeah.
A seller and a buyer, and then a seller and a buyer.
All right.
But the seller and the buyer on 2 of those are the same people.
Yes.
So let's say you represent the seller on transaction number 2, B.
I'm receiving the seller that now is turning around and assigning.
Yep. All right. That's right. Just talk to your seller and prepare them. Say, look, we've got assignment of funds that you're agreeing to here because your buyer needs to sell their home before they buy yours.
Mhm.
Okay. Just so you know, the assignment of funds, you can tell them what it is. And now you know, we've told you, it's just a letter,
It's a letter from one title company to another.
but it's not money. And you
Right.
can tell your client, hey, look, you're not going to get your money until the settlement company gets it from the other closing. Then they
Mhm.
record the deed and then
Okay.
it can be dispersed to you.
Right. And
Okay?
you're saying 2 to 4 business days for the second seller.
It could be that long. If the title company or title companies on both deals take as long as they need or can,
That's the 2 days each.
then it could be 2 days on the first, 2 days on the second,
Mhm.
and that could be
Mhm.
a total of 4.
The seller receive. Boom. Okay.
Yep.
So the main thing is if I don't know what I want to call it worst case scenario, but another hypothetical would be like I'm buying, the buyer's buying, the seller is selling and buying, and the next one is selling and buying.
We've done that. I've had coinciding settlements where there were 3 closings altogether, and they all wanted to close in the same day.
Mhm. Man,
Wouldn't you know it?
yeah.
The buyer on the first deal, the loan got delayed.
Oh,
So all the closings had to be moved. Everyone hung in there and they weren't happy, of course, but they were willing to do what they
Yeah.
had to do to make it
Right.
happen. So we closed them all eventually, but we
Right.
did have a delay.
okay. So it can't happen.
It
And
can.
that is when someone is buying, when what I've asked in the middle of this, hey, we got to sell our house and then buy it. I actually try to have a talk with that seller's buyer's agent.
Yeah.
What's your situation? Are you
Right.
selling something too?
How are things
How's the
going?
home
Yeah.
inspection?
Yeah.
I'm very interested in that first buyer to
Got the
make sure that
appraisal done? Has
Right.
that come through yet?
how we
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, there we got that.
Okay. Assignment of
Oh,
funds.
okay.
Some places their forms don't really set up that way. And for example, some Richmond and Charlottesville area.
Now, is this a
Uh,
form situation or they just don't do that?
Both actually.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, some places, we don't do that around here.
Yeah,
Where are you from?
I've had that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And so when that's the situation.
By the way, thank you to Charlottesville who gave us the split settlement solution.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They were the ones that kind of caused that to happen.
So if you're in an area where they just don't do that, or the seller just says no, then again, just keep in mind, you got to schedule those settlements at least 2 business days apart.
Right.
Because on deal number 2, you got to have money. And if you don't have money in time for closing, you're in default.
So this kind of off on the coinciding settlements is this may determine what you're going to do with who the moving company is. You don't want someone that's just going to have a truck, you may want someone that's got some storage units.
Oh, yeah, sure.
In other words,
Yeah.
like a one where they load it and then put it on a truck versus it's just sitting on a truck. Maybe I'm
No,
concerned a
that's a
little bit
good
too much
point.
about it,
It
but
can get real stuff,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, expensive. If your stuff's sitting in a truck
right,
and then truck companies say, hey, this is our only truck. We can't do other moves because
Right.
your stuff's sticking is
Exactly.
stuck in our truck.
had that happen.
Yeah. Get your stuff out of here. We'll
That's
charge
not
you
fun, man.
$500 a day.
All my stuff is in the truck.
Yeah.
When's she gonna get out of the house? Oh yeah, it's no fun.
Yeah. That's when they
All
put out
right,
a-
so I interrupted. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. I think we
Okay.
covered it. It's just if there's no sound
Yeah.
funds, again, just make sure those closings are at least 2 business days apart.
Right. In my Northern Virginia agents, I know some of you, oh, can I write an offer in Charlottesville and Richmond? And yeah, you can, but be aware there's differences in the practices.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, good deal.
Okay, second hypothetical, similar fact pattern. Let's talk about this. Let's say the seller in transaction B, and this is what you're talking about, is also buying a home in transaction C. So
The,
we've
the
got
third deal or whatever.
3 settlements
yeah.
altogether.
right.
Okay. So both transaction B and C sellers agree to assignment of funds. All right, that's good if you're with me. And say they all want to close October 21st. And again, this was my scenario, and it
Mhm.
can happen. We've done it. But you really got to prepare the seller on transaction C
Yeah.
for a long
Yeah,
wait.
I can see that.
Because again,
Meaning a few days.
every settlement has 2 business days
Right.
by law of max
Okay.
to
So
disperse the funds.
right. So when we just say, well, they got 2 days, and we don't, now you can say, now I know why.
Yeah.
There's a final check on the title.
There's a lot of stuff that happens.
There's all that stuff happening for each deal. And
Yeah.
even though you had that happen on deal 1 and deal 2, it's not necessarily that they're doing this parallel.
Yeah.
It's more like they're in tandem. I got my 2 days, now you got your 2 days.
They're all in line. If you get
Right.
the ex-girlfriend files this $200,000 mechanics lien on one of them, you're going to have a problem.
That's crazy, man.
So things happen. I'm
Yeah,
telling
yeah.
you.
Okay. They can close, really prepare a seller. I like that emphasis.
Really.
Really prepare a seller
Hey,
number 3
Look, buddy,
or
you're going to be waiting for a while.
seller, the third seller.
And if that third seller says, you know what, I just feel weird. I'm handing over the keys and I got to wait for my money 6
So
days.
6 days.
And then this
Could be, or it will.
could be.
Could be.
It all could happen all on the same day.
Mhm,
That's if everything goes perfect.
mhm.
It's possible. It is
Yeah.
possible. No walkthrough
Right.
issues.
And all these people
Money's
have
all
gotten
in.
the right font on the deeds, they got the right margins, and they're not having a bad day.
Usually those things don't cause a delay.
Right.
More often it's we got to walk through a show. I'm not closing, or
Okay.
lender says we're not ready,
Right.
or I don't know, VA inspector has to
Yeah.
go back. Or,
Where being the last seller.
and so if you got a seller who just isn't comfortable with that, say okay, then you're my client.
Right.
We're going to tell them we won't close
Yeah, we won't close.
until we got money,
We done.
and we'll set the settlement date a few days later. You're not getting the keys till
Yeah.
closing, and then I don't have to wait as long.
So
as my-
transactionally, folks, I'm just saying, just tell everybody, you know what? We just got to exercise patience. And
Yeah.
I know it's all bundled up and happening, but this is just a week versus the years you're going to be in the house. It's 1 week that we're working with. Let's be patient.
Good
Let's-
reminder. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
1 week out of the whole time you're going to be owning the house, which
Yeah.
could be 30 years.
Let's think long term.
All right.
Sometimes it's hard for people to think that way, but they need your help. You're the guide in this, and
Yeah.
they need your wisdom and experience.
Don't rant about all the other people. Just say, look, we all need to come in here
That's right.
and work on it.
Yep.
So still on number 2.
Okay, sure. So if all different settlement companies,
Ah,
I'm
okay.
telling you, it can, because as buyers
It's their
got a right to
choice.
choose. The buyer on each 3 of the deals they might all choose a different settlement company. They have got that right. It just gets really complicated.
Right.
So transaction 1, say you record and disperse on the 22nd. Transaction B, next day. Transaction C, the next day. That's again, everything goes perfectly. It'd be pretty rare for it to be even possible. Say transaction A and B, 2 different settlement companies. It'd be really almost impossible to do that all in the same day.
Yeah.
Usually, not impossible, but really tough, because just think of all the things that need to fall in line and the money moving.
You got to
from one
start at
settlement
8
company.
a.m.
You better get
I would think.
get started pretty quickly.
Yeah. And folks,
But-
just as a side, have your buyers and sellers take the day off. It's amazing to me how many will, well, I can come over there and close at 3 and then I got to go back to work. And I'm like, just take the day off. You're selling one of the most expensive things in your portfolio.
Yeah, pretty
Take the
important.
day off and prepare for anything possibly having an issue.
Yep,
Yeah. Okay.
things
Is that
happen.
on that one?
Yep, we're good.
Right.
Okay, if you're all closing with us, hey, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, there we go.
Then things do move smoother because we're
Yeah.
not moving money around from different title companies.
Mhm.
And we've got the same people working on the same recordings and say, okay, post closing, yep, got on record.
Right.
Go with the second. All right,
Right.
go with the third. Pull the trigger. And things
Right.
do go a lot smoother.
And I have talked with other agents, say, look, let's make this work, okay? And the agents, I've not seen anyone or any buyer be so married to their title company, because if they're in the middle of it, they're like, yeah, this would make sense to be at one place. I think
Yeah.
most of them would agree with that. Okay.
Okay, and I sort of mentioned this already, but say the seller on transaction C, they don't agree to settlement of funds. Well, then that closing can't happen until the
Yeah.
money's all in. So after both A and B have closed and both settlement companies have dispersed their funds, so A to B,
Mhm.
then B to C, then transaction C, then you can actually have a closing.
Okay.
All right.
That it?
Yeah, I
And
think so.
scheduled transaction, very late in the afternoon. Okay.
Yeah, for transaction C. Yeah, that's
All
right.
right. Good deal.
Okay, same day. Sure, that this happens when you got to record and disperse the same day. Just close as early as you can in the morning, get that moving along. And the original deed's got to be in. I'll mention this too. Sometimes people sign outside of our office
Yes.
physically.
Right.
We've had buyers close in Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
And it's not always overnight from Hawaii. Sometimes it's 2 days delivery.
Yeah.
And then we're waiting and waiting, and the seller's waiting, and we tell them, hey, I'm sorry, we're still waiting. And we give people a heads up too. But we cannot record copies.
Mhm.
We've got to have original docs, original
Right.
mortgage, original deed.
Oh, so no emailing. We got to have that doc. Hopefully the FedEx plane is on time and everything.
Right. E-sign docs, yes, because there is no hard copy original.
Right, right.
The digital sealed copy that's notarized is the original. But if it's a
Okay.
hard copy, we got to have it in our hands.
Got it.
Yep.
All right.
A hard original, I
Legit.
should say. Okay, well, that was the
Cool.
last slide.
All right.
Questions? Anything else we didn't cover about this coinciding settlements?
I don't have any questions. Do y'all have any questions? How's the pizza?
Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest things about this, I think, is just education. Just
Mhm.
telling your clients, here's what to expect, here's what this means,
Right,
here's what the timeframes are going to look like with the money on the recording.
right.
In real estate, we do a lot of teaching.
Mhm.
I do a lot of teaching. You do too. I know you
Yeah.
do. A lot of it's about teaching your clients.
Expectations.
Yep.
And not
It's
not
the right-
freaking out with the client, but helping bring them down off the edge if necessary. Not that it always happens. I find most people are reasonable.
Yep.
But the coinciding is great. Everyone loves it when it's good. It's like I love technology when it works.
When it works.
Coincidings are great when it works.
When it works. And
Right.
again, it can, but you
Yeah.
need to be prepared for
For sure.
also the worst case scenario.
Good deal.
So,
All right.
okay,
Thanks, sir.
well, we're Anthony and Dave.
I know we look like brothers. We're
the
not.
ball
But
guys with glasses.
we do use the same barber. So there we go.
Hey, does a good job.
All right, man. Take care. See ya.